teachers in Chicago, their salary is $105,000 a year.
Get off this frequency. This is ours.
Yeah. All right. Let me get out of here.
My goodness, those worthless teachers. What are we going to do about them?
Somebody else that I want to get it. All right, so it's 73, and off you go. Have a good one. One part again. 5 UAC.
KB3MZQ. Are you in there, my man? K1LEM. Oh, okay. Well, don't let me take off on a pun on that one. Believe me. But anyway, did you hear the conversation? You know, these old conservatives are on there, and I'm of course a social analyst. I get on there. He's making $150 grand a year, but $100K for a teacher is too much money, and they only work 9 months a year. And he doesn't like unions, but yes, he does like unions, but he did have a union, and that's why he's making money. I mean, John, these people are so inconsistent. I mean, seriously, could they hold water in a junior high school debate? K1LEM. Yeah, right. I don't know. See, but I don't know. There's something. I don't want to. You know me. I am labeled a liberal, but actually I'm not a liberal. I just try to follow the line of logic and see the inconsistencies in what people say. And yet they're making a lot of money, yet they don't want anybody else to make money, and they complain about a teacher making money, yet they admit themselves that they made $180K a year. Did you hear that guy in Texas go on? I mean, it was unbelievable. He's so inconsistent, he ought to, if he were a fruit salad, I don't know whether I would even put a fork into him. Kilo 1, LEM.
You're a communist.
Oh, go your own way, buddy.
K1LEM, you communist. This is KB3MZQ. Hey, KB3MZQ.
Yeah.
Worrying about what other people think. Of course, at this point, you are above and beyond that nonsense.
Yeah. I'm eating Waldorf salad, with chestnuts this morning. I don't know. This is why I don't like to debate on the ham bands, except with you. And occasionally, I like to get into conversation with Tom because he's so volatile. end Tom is on. Is he on the end of the great orator, or is he on the end of Adolf Hitler, just about ready to ignite? And you don't know which end that is at any particular day, and my goodness, you just have to walk softly but carry a big stick, as they say. The point is that I am so sick and tired of hearing about those terrible teachers. They just don't do a thing. They're so friggin' lazy. If you had to take care of 7th grade boys and girls, you would think at the end of the day they're worth $200,000. You wouldn't be able to do it. Believe me, I've tried to teach junior high school, and believe me, it ain't a picnic. And you can walk in there with this high and mighty attitude. I know physics. I'm going to teach these kids gifted and talented. If you can just keep them from having sex in the middle of the classroom, you're doing your job, buddy. You're doing your job. K1LEM, Mike. Who's that, Harry? Yeah, I'm just wild about Harry. Where have you been, Harry? Have you been avoiding me? Oh, no, I know you do. Yes, that did hurt. But you know what? I'm going to work today, and I didn't tell you about my first day on the job as electronics technician, volunteering my time, and I really enjoyed it. I've got my own workbench, and I told them the next time I come up, I'll bring my digital voltmeter, and they want me to check out the electronics that's come in to see whether or not it's resaleable, or is it repairable, or should they put it on the line for the dump. But if anything comes in, you see, that is anything desirable that I may want, I get first pick. I get first pick on everything, Harry, everything in the store. Isn't that just wonderful? K1LEM, Mike. That I absolutely love it. I mean, loving it would be going back to university and teaching not electronics, but teaching debate. I would love to do that. I'd love to be a speech teacher, because as I go across the ham bands, Harry, I hear people that are so illogical in their thought process. And you know what I think about it? I think to myself, they either want to fit in with whoever it is that they're talking to. Now, you know that I don't want to fit in, because I don't need to fit in, Harry. You know, whatever a point of view you have, I don't necessarily have to have it. I don't come back to you and insult you and diametrically insult, take a point of view just because I want to be controversial and take a point of view counter to yours. No, not at all. In fact, I've got a letter written by a now deceased professor of electrical engineering that I shall always hold on to. It's one of the nicest letters. I don't know. I might be a little bit more flowery than truth, but this guy, he was a nice guy, and he just passed away last January after his wife had passed away. She was a European Jewish lady, and I don't know if he was Jewish or not, but I mean, he had the privilege of being married to a female Jewish lady, and I don't know, they endured for many, many years. But anyway, Dr. Fred Evering, my goodness, I went on the internet and I praised him. I said I wasn't really a colleague because I didn't have a PhD, but I was a co-worker, I guess. He was a chairman of the department for quite a number of years. But in any event, I have a letter written on the university letterhead that says that I am one of the, in his opinion, after observing me, I'm one of the best teachers he's ever seen, and I would be absolutely wonderful in a high school. I don't think he'd been inside a public high school, Harry, so he didn't really know quite. But maybe a private school like Hotchkiss or something like that, where you got all these little rich brats and you can slap them out if you want. He said I had the Socratic method of teaching. I always tried to lead people to their own knowledge, Harry. I don't like to tell people things. I like to show them up for what they are. So what do you think of that? Harry. I think Harry has already lost me. It always is. This band is ridiculous. It's only 7:20 in the morning, and I can't even talk out to Harry at 600 miles. I mean, what is this band good for? I mean, seriously, the band goes out. It's still only 7:21 in the morning. Well, first of all, Harry, you know that John and I are former teachers, but that doesn't necessarily bias our points of view. It just says that we've been on the front lines. All right, we've been on the front lines. And I just don't like somebody that's never been to war telling me what it's like to go to war. I don't like somebody that they themselves, they won't work. This guy in Texas, he said by his own admission, I could make $80,000 a year down here, but I choose not to because I'm worth a lot more than $80,000 a year. And yet, quote unquote, a teacher in Chicago is not worth $100 grand. Harry, there seems to be a problem with a lot of thinking, if you know what I mean. Anyway, it's nice to hear you. I don't think you're hearing me. John, there's nothing that I said of any value to pass to Harry, except for him to congratulate himself on having a life and to have a good day. K1LEM, Akamai.
K1LEM, KB3MZQ, in the group with K1FXK. Let me say this about that. I have one thing to really point out. The people who deserve more money than they are currently being paid are probably out of state troopers. Who would ever want that job, especially in this day and age, where, you have to confront all these different people who have been on drugs, and illegal drugs versus legal drugs, alcohol, and God knows what they're taking, these designer drugs, and synthesized by, I'm going to say the word, Freebird. We have Freebird, a laboratory. Hey, we have too many Freebirds who are creating synthetic drugs of all kinds. And these people, the state troopers, have to confront them. And, of course, they had better be armed. Oh, but you have to be careful. And, what I'm noticing on the news now, certain people, I don't care what color they are, certain people want the right to run from the police. I have the right to run. I have the right to not only run, but to not listen to your directions. I have the right to not listen to you and run. And I'm going to push you as hard as I can because I have the right to do it anyway. Good grief, I tell you. If anybody can say that, it would be the equivalent of a state trooper. And the state troopers here in Delaware, they are good people. And I'm glad that they are of high caliber. But I'm telling you, without being totally redundant, like some people on the frequency should be paid more and more, and I have totally respect for it. But all the people about you,
Because I haven't got one.
because of religion, whatever, this is KB3MZQ.
Yeah, well, it's sort of like crybaby milk. If somebody was crying about a union because first of all, it's all about griping, it's all about griping. And it's all about emotion. For example, if a teacher is making 50 grand or 60 grand or whatever, a long-term teacher up where I graduated from junior high school years ago, Edmonds Junior High School in Burlington, Vermont, their salaries are pretty much published. And if you're teaching 7th grade, because of the union, and I would believe it's because of the union, but also it's more than that. It's because of the system structured, which doesn't necessarily allow the bias or prejudice of a supervisor to get in the way, to play little petty games with how much money you get. If we don't like you, we won't give you any more than a 2% raise. Maybe we won't give you any at all. We can't fire you, but we'll get rid of you by simply not giving you any more money. And after a while, you will decide to resign. Now, in education, that isn't quite the way it goes if there's a union about. The union says so much education and so many years of teaching, and you get X dollars. Yeah, a lot of people have griped and taken on that the deadwood in education is held on to by that system. And I'm not going to say that that's an entirely invalid point of view. Now, I know in New Jersey it's a totally valid point of view to take, that the union there has really overstepped its boundaries. But again, let's just keep the discussion to the scope that it needs to be in and not wander way off in another field where you can really lose sight of what it is that I'm trying to say. Now, what I'm trying to say is that if everybody had a union, i.e., let's put it this way. If everybody earned $15 an hour, okay, that's a minimum wage, $15 an hour. And if we could take care of our children, we could give them at least 2 years of post-high school education, those that wanted to go on and had proven in the first 12 years that they were serious about learning, and not burden them with a lot of post-college debt, and make their parents and they themselves go out to a bank and borrow money just so they can go to a 2-year school or maybe a 4-year school, and then sit through that for 4 years and so forth. You see, the society is all messed up because nobody wants to look at what the real issue is. They always want to look outside and say, you got it better than I do. And therefore, I want you to have a whole lot less because I know that I could do a whole lot better than you could. But now, wait a minute. Here's the thing. You were talking about a state trooper, all right? I can tell you somebody in the system that's really underpaid in a lot of states. And I can tell you that I've been there almost. This is a true story. There's a lot to me you don't know. But anyway, I applied to be a prison corrections officer in the good old state of Vermont. And guess what? I was accepted. Yeah, I was going to work at the South Burlington Correctional Facility. Now, why would I do that? Why would I apply to be a corrections officer? Now, this was after I'd worked with the feds and so forth. And the pay was not good. The beginning pay, and this goes back to, let's see. This goes back to about 2003, 4, 3 or 4, just before I moved, 3 or 4, 2004. Let's say 2004 if you want to get it nailed down. The pay for a beginning corrections officer was $24,000 a year. But get this, to have people come on board into the system, the corrections office said, well, we know that that's a very bare bones salary, but you'll get a whole lot of overtime. We just guarantee you that you'll get overtime every week, and that's time and a half because that's the way the law is written. So you'll end up, well, you may end up dead, and you may end up not having any spare time at all, but, you know, you may end up actually making 30 grand a year at this job. Now, you say to yourself, now wait a minute, corrections officer versus a police officer. Well, let's just stop and think about this, folks. Okay, so a police officer has a dangerous job, so they get to drive a cruiser, so they get to carry a gun and all of this other stuff. Now, in Vermont, I'm not speaking about other states because I don't know about other states. Corrections officer does not carry a gun. Corrections officer wears a uniform that is very, very similar in color to a state cop. Very, very similar. Green and what is it? Green and gray. And so they're different. One's a police officer, and one's a corrections officer. Now, if you qualify to be one of Vermont's chosen on a state trooper, you start off at $55,000 a year. Plus overtime. I believe that that's right. Somebody that knows better can come in and correct me, but I think that that's right. If you choose to go into the corrections area and you successfully get a job, about $22,000 to $24,000 a year, and you're not looking at felons every once in a while. You are eating felon soup every morning for lunch. Every person you see is a convicted felon. Everyone you see that puts his hands out could strangle you in a heartbeat. Of course, that depends on where you're working, of course. But what happens is a lot of times, and I don't mean to gross people out, but this is what corrections officers have to do all the time. If you hand an inmate his supper through the bars, or you know, there's a little window there, you hand it in. You always put your gloves on. You always put your surgical gloves on, because on the other side of that, you may think that he's grabbing the tray. He very well may be, but he'll put feces on the tray. He'll take the dinner and he'll throw it on the floor because he can't get it through the closed door, of course. And he'll put feces on the tray and then say, when you're coming back the next way, he'll say, "All done, sir, all done." So you go in there and you say, "Okay, John, you're all done. Okay, I'm ready to collect the trays." Now this is part of your job, baby. This is part of your job, man. So he gives the tray back to you with human feces on it. Human feces. Now, is that the kind of a job you want? KB3MZQ, K1LEM.
K1LEM, this is KB3MZQ. Let's take a standby here. Maybe the band has shifted around again. Let's see if Harry's still out there in Radio Land. KA1FXK, this is KB3MZQ. Harry, are you there?
I am there. Indeed, my visual is going to hell, though, so
Why is your visual going down the toilet? Speaking of feces, what's wrong with your visual? Anyway, technical issues with his visual. Maybe, yeah. Anyway, you know, from what I understand, after watching some kind of an informative program on television, I can't even figure out how I found it, but apparently, according to current statistics, there are more prisons in the United States than colleges. I think that's including junior colleges. There are more prisons. And apparently we may need more. Yeah. And these people who are in prison, oh man, some of them, they have such very strange values. This one woman who's on television, she can't wait to be released so she can continue to sell drugs. And she has 2 kids, but her sentence was extended for a while because she was that some other woman was getting too cozy with her prison lesbian girlfriend. I'm thinking, a different culture. But anyway, it gets pretty depressing talking about the fact that there are more prisons than colleges. And it's becoming big business, too. But I don't know enough about it to comment any further about the privately run prison. And down where you live in South Carolackyville, I understand that may be looked upon as a quote-unquote right-to-work state, where it may be rather anti-union and so on and so forth.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I'll say it again. What does right-to-work mean? Quote-unquote. I'll tell you what it means. You have the right to work for minimum wage, where you can't even survive, but you have the right to do that. Forget the union. No, we will have no union. You have the right to be underpaid. That's right. Anyway, so I'm going to let Harry struggle with his radio. Let me try him again. Hey, and maybe you actually have a connection problem. KB1FXK, are you there?
I am here. No, it's not a connection problem. It's the fact that there's still a lot of water on my roof where my antenna, you don't want to know.
Now I'm hearing Harry. Now I'm hearing him.
Keep an eye on it. Right now it's between 1.1 and 1.3. Listen, man, that improvement is out.